Okay, we are going live. We're going live. Let's make sure that the audio is coming through once more, all nice and crispy like. Hope that you're having a good morning, good evening, good day, wherever you are at. And I'm excited to share this live stream and Friday with y'all. Yeah. Oh, excellent. It's all coming through perfectly over there on YouTube. Fantastisch. Well, today I just want to have a little bit of fun. We've gotten the fun little merch promotional today from Glitch Productions in regards. Hey, hello there, Arts. We got the Glitch merch promotional that made me think, you know what? Like, let's have some fun. You want to eat pancakes? Eating pancakes would be fun. Though I personally am more a fan of waffles. I'll eat pancakes, but I love me a good waffle. Uh, so yeah, I was feeling like, you know what? Let's talk about like some fun some fun school drama stories, how to write school drama, having fun with that. Why not revisit Murder Drones? Because it's absolutely great. And yeah, just kind of see where the conversations take us. We're coming to what say this is the last Friday of the month, and last month I did not share my writing updates for world building for Whitefire and for other stories that I am writing or prepping for. So I thought I'd also make up for that today and have a little bit of fun there. So yeah, uh, as we wait for more peeps to come streaming on in, how is everyone doing? Belgian waffle for the win. Belgian waffles, yes. Belgian chocolates. Holy cow, Belgian chocolate is delicious. And ISO is here. Great to have you here, ISO. I hope that you are having a great day. Oh yes, say some Belgian waffles with some Belgian chocolate with some Belgian friends. What's not to love? Uh, and to if everything goes well, tomorrow should be releasing our 1,000th video. Yes, 1,000 videos. Funny enough, we've actually already kind of hit this number, but because of videos getting taken down and other just weird counting shenaniganery with YouTube, like we've actually already hit 1,000 videos, but we decided, you know what, the count online finally says that we are hitting 1,000, so we're celebrating it with our next video. Uh, got home from work and slept. I'm doing all right. Oh man, I was feeling sleepy today. I though that was unavoidable. I had a bad night's sleep, but here we are. Oh, and I got cat hair in my nose. Oi. I got a sneeze coming on. So if there's suddenly if there's suddenly the sound of a shotgun, I haven't been shot. It's just me. It's just me sneezing. 1,000th video. Whoa! I know. You know what? It's no longer really that big of a deal. Like 4 or 5 years, especially before that, people would absolutely be like, "We did 1,000 videos! Oh my gosh!" But these days, with how people can just crank out AI slop, how YouTube Shorts, which are being pushed by the platform, also count as videos. You can just take whatever you just churn out tons and tons of little shorts, or you've got people who take live streams like this one and then just cut it up to make all different kinds of videos. It's really easy to hit 1,000 videos these days if you make AI slop, tons of YouTube shorts, or you take live streams and you chop them up into pieces. But we here at Camille's Harem, no, we've done it the old-fashioned way, video by video, leading us all the way up to hopefully tomorrow our 1,000th video. Somehow Palpatine returned and Susie pointed it out. Actually, no, no, I'm going to roll with that for just a moment. Ezreal, I'm weak. Ezreal, there are some who say that the dark world leads to powers that some consider to be unnatural. Hey, Chris is all like, excuse me, sir, this is QC's diner. You know, if Palpatine in any iteration were to meet Susie, I feel like Susie would pull out the win, and no one, including Palpatine, would have any idea how that happened. She's not even able to use the Force, but Susie's just a force of nature. She changes everything. Okay, you know what? Quick shift into a tandem, and you guys can't see this because I don't have a camera, but I'm actually making a little like gear shifting motion. Sir, you still have to pay for $5 for that shake. Unlimited money. Oh boy, that's what people in crypto think. Okay, actually, you know what? Real quick, like gear shift. So I just said, like, Susie's a force of nature. She changes everything. And she absolutely does. Is she a Mary Sue? The answer is no. Because although Susie is an absolute force of nature, she has character development. On top of that, the plot does not bend to her will and whim. If it did, she would have been able to confront and beat the knight, and the knight would not have escaped with Undyne and possibly also with Father Alvin, and she would not have her heart broken by Toriel getting drunk and dancing with Sans. And so many other things layered onto that as well. So that there's it's absolutely fine to write characters who are just forces of change, who can just they're just able to do things. They change the world around them, either in a very positive or very negative way. That's absolutely fine. Those are very interesting characters. They become Mary Sues when they have no character development, and they just basically break the rules of the world and all other characters around them. Emperor Palpatine damaged itself in its confusion. Yeah. He shocks himself with force lightning. We're talking about the prom again. Yes, indeed, we will be. And Mary Susie. You know, it's crazy how close we get to Mary Sue with if we put Mary in front of Susie. I was thinking about that. What if that's the point? What if Chris and Des are trying to get strong enough to change fate literally so Des can change back? Chapter 4 was all about teaching Susie that fate is what you make it after all. And I think that it's a very good observation. And that's one of the things I've personally believed as I've looked at what Chris and Carol are up to, that it seems as though they are pursuing the prophecy because they know that they can get stronger by doing that. And if you think about the Snowgrave route, the Snowgrave route is all about making Noelle stronger. But to what end? Why go through all of that trauma to make Noelle stronger? It very likely has to be about confronting the prophecy and be like, okay, then at a certain point in time, we will have enough power that we can get Des back. Sure, people are going to die. Sure, we're going to get very close to the destruction of the world. But remember this, at the end of the prophecy, the heroes save everyone. They save everything. Therefore, it's A-okay to do this. Dark Reflection is here. Just got here. What did I miss? Well, you just missed the fact that Susie could absolutely beat Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine would also try to persuade Azrael to go join the dark side. And what you all just missed is that my Thaddeus Maximus of a cat, she just barreled her way right through the door. This cat just muscled her way through the door into my office. Oh well. But yeah, so yeah, we're just getting started. We're only 10 minutes in. This is all just kind of the jokesiness and getting things a going for the evening. Susie would tell Palpatine to f off, and he jumped down the reactor himself out of confusion. you know, I could see that. I love this. I can perfectly envision that in my head. If I were an animator, I would drop everything I'm doing just to animate that. But yeah, so coming back to what Dorcas brought, yeah, we're going to be talking about the prom again tonight because it's just fun to revisit Murder Drones, revisit the promening, tell some fun stories and how said stories could possibly even be utilized in people's own writing. I mean, if ever you need, you can always draw some crazy inspiration from my life. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ah, Susie. So we meet again. And Susie, the force is not strong with you. You only made it this far because of your friends. And remember, faith in your friends is weakness. I know. It's all like, hey, uh, a wrinkly old man with a face that looks like a butt. F you. What? What is this? I do not understand these words. And just goes from there. All right. Well, you know what? Well, let's hey Guy, great to have you here. Well, we have the knight as Darth Vader and Gaster as Emperor Palpatine. Clive walked into the stream into an Emperor Palpatine impression. Oh my gosh! Now I really want to see this. Gaster right there taunting Chris. Put like let the Chris's pencil is there on the side of or is there on Gaster's armchair? You want this? Strike me down. And then Chris reaches for the pencil, grabs it. It's the sword, and then Des pulls out her blade, counters, and Palpatine's like, yes. Chris, Des fighting. Des obviously overwhelming Chris, and then I would say this is where I would definitely then like make sure that Susie has like a real like triumphal moment. So the part in the Return of the Jedi when Vader reads Luke's mind or senses Luke's mind, any case, is it's always kind of iffy. Are they actually reading their minds, or are they just sensing the thoughts? Your thoughts turn to sister. And so you can have Des like, your thoughts turn to Susie. Ah, you have betrayed her as well, Chris. After all, that's lying and deceiving and manipulating. You thought that you could make Susie like you, that you could be friends. And friends are like Chris is just like get it turning all wibbly wobbly into jelly, like no, no. And then Chris, if you will not turn to the dark side and complete the prophecy, then perhaps she will. And then have Susie jump out and be the one to be like, no! And then have the smackdown that Luke delivers to Darth Vader be Susie delivering that to Des. It could work. Ty says, hey, just for you to know, there's a small cameo of Ragatha from the Amazing Digital Circus from season 5 of Hacks. Yeah, I saw that. It blew up on social media for about a day. Lars says, only now at the end do you understand. Poor fool. All right. So with that now, with that fun now, man, I wish I could make that a reality. See, this is where people who have ideas are all like, why don't I turn to AI? Because with AI, you could make this happen. But here's the thing, though. Because this is just right now an idea, I could pump that idea into an AI generator and it would barf out whatever I wanted. Never mind the whole it's stealing other people's work thing. But without me actually developing the skills necessary to put these funny ideas into practice, what have I really gained? I'm just being lazy. And honestly, these little things that we've been laughing at right here in the chat, while they are funny and all and they're great, they can still become better. Funny ideas, fun ideas, dark ideas, all different kinds of ideas become better as you work them out, as you implement them by hand, by yourself, or in a team. Because as you develop those ideas, as you take the time to develop them, you begin to realize, wait, what if we did this slightly differently? What if I did this? What if I had to take this away? Just in the past 24 hours, I've been talking with a friend of mine about what I need to do for the sequel to Tumble Teller. And I've been getting like some really great inspiration that goes against my first draft. I already have the first draft written. And as I'm getting ready to write the second draft, there's so many things I know I need to change. And by changing them, I know it's going to make the next draft so much better. If I just ran off to AI and be like, here, barf it out for me, it would be nowhere near as good as it could be, and it obviously wouldn't be mine. So there we go. There's the fun jab and stab there at AI. Tagama says, also the Amazing Digital Circus episode 8 is almost at 90 million views. Which is amazing, because there's a chance that it could hit 100 million views, at which point then, here's something to think about. Here's something to think about in terms of episode 8, the penultimate episode, reaching 100 million views. That is just shy of a quarter of the pilot episode's current view count. But consider this. When the pilot first dropped and immediately began rocketing its way up to 200 million views, 200 million views represents the core base, the initial explosion of excitement and popularity for the Amazing Digital Circus. If episode 8 reaches 100 million views, that means it has reached 50% of what the pilot originally did in its run. What that means is that the Amazing Digital Circus could claim to have a 50% audience retention rate. And that is huge. There is maybe The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and Game of Thrones can boast those kinds of numbers, or can, I should say, boast that kind of percentage. And that is that is honestly remarkable. Because then there's not many shows that can do that. Actually, interestingly enough, Murder Drones has a similar percentage of retention, which just goes to show how strong Murder Drones was in its storytelling and its ability to hold on to its audience. True, yes, there definitely were some things that happened along the way that weren't always the greatest for the story overall. It was Liam Vickers' first big show that he was running by himself. Well, not running by himself, but that he was in charge of. Mistakes were made, but that is still pretty awesome. Uh Oh, ours says not been watching episode 8 on purpose, so it's more of a so it's more fresh going into the final episode. Oh, cool. And guy says it's the novelty of it, I feel. Yes, the novelty. All right. So, uh coming around to this particular time. Oh, guy says I really didn't like Murder Drones that much, but I appreciate it for its influence. And you know what? That's okay. Like this show, like no, there's no such thing as a totally universal story for everyone. Not even my beloved Lord of the Rings is universal. It does not have universal appeal. Even Avatar: The Last Airbender, arguably one of the best shows ever made, does not have universal appeal. So if someone's like, I didn't like Murder Drones, I totally get it. Me personally, I love it. But jumping on over to The Promening. We are again at that time of year as we get close to graduation, that this is the time where schools start having their proms. Yay. Now then, by raise of hand in the chat, who here has not heard my one and only prom story? I know I've talked about it actually in like 2 other videos, but like it's always good to know like, okay, who hasn't heard, who is coming into this new and fresh, so that way, so that way I can tell the whole story, or I just keep it not nice and small. So while I'm waiting for, oh, the guy says I didn't even go to prom when I was in high school. LOL. There's loads of people who didn't go, who didn't go to prom. I'm Omega's heard it. Yeah, Omega. I'm pretty certain. I'm pretty certain you've heard both times I've told the story. Uh, but yeah, no, it's okay. Uh, Wait, okay. Neither did I. I mean, in terms of going to the school prom, uh, yeah. Say there's lots of people who don't go to prom for a variety of reasons. Too crowded, too expensive, which is a thing. Uh, Feeling excluded because you don't have a date, which is a thing, or maybe it's just not for you and your partner. Uh, what have you. May it like there's like people don't need to go to the prom. Prom is not like what it once was, like 30 plus years ago, where it really was like a true rite of passage. If someone didn't go to the prom, that was like a, oh my gosh, what? There's a reason why like movies out of the 80s and the 90s make a big deal about people who don't go to the prom as just being like the weirdest of the weird and the biggest of the outcasts. And even like movies, so actually, let's see here. Before I start spewing something that might not be true, let me think here to the 70s. Yeah, in the 70s, where there's the broad where prom is brought up, prom is just kind of treated as again as this rite of passage. You go to it. But it's not so much the case these days. Uh, but having had the chance to like look at some really old yearbooks, and even yearbooks for colleges, these kinds of dances were treated as a really huge thing. As a result, it's just kind of it's kind of been deified is absolutely the wrong word because we've not turned prom into a god. Can you imagine the god or goddess of prom? That'd be weird. And suddenly now I am really interested in how that would be represented. Holy cow. Oh, I just had an idea. What would the god or goddess of prom be like? Uh, yeah, put your ideas in the chat of what the god or goddess of prom might be like. No. The the prom was basically turned into like this mythical thing, And honestly, I think one of the reasons why prom is kind of like fallen out of favor for loads of teenagers is because high school was not this great mystical happy thing like what you see in the shows and the movies, but it's like, yeah, okay, it's just another thing. Do I really want to go and look goofy amongst all of my classmates who are just going to be sweaty and smelly and overdressed? Probably not. Guy says, I didn't figure prom was way more important way back when. Yeah. And again, like maybe like 30 plus years ago, it absolutely was one of the biggest of things. When I graduated from high school almost 19 years ago, uh, it was still just this monumental thing that most people were expected to go to, but at that time there was already kind of like a consensus behind the scenes that if you didn't show up to prom, you weren't going to be made fun of. You weren't going to be treated as an outcast. But but people were just excited to go, and it was the big thing, especially for the seniors. It was the last big shindig before graduation. Uh, and Dory says, "Is it the opposite nowadays? Like people who go to prom now are the weirdos?" I think the people who go to prom are going there because it's a great social interaction. I think they go honestly more for the novelty than for the experience. That's been what I observed as a teacher. When I was a teacher, kids were more excited for prom because it was the experience. For a lot of the girls, it was because they got to wear a really cool dress and show it off. But other than that, it wasn't the big social thing to do. Um, and guy says, personally, I wasn't attached with my high school. I had a reunion invite a few months ago. For the best, I didn't go. Ha. Oh, oof. Oof. Reminds me, I need to actually get in touch with my high school and talk about setting up a tailgate. I want to do it like for a reunion. I want to do a tailgate party at the homecoming football game uh, next school year. I want to do that. All right, so so I know that we know that I'm Omega has definitely heard my prom story, and Dorcas Daydreams and Priester has also heard my prom story. But for those of you who haven't heard it, allow me to regale you with the tale, and 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 yeah, I'll then talk about after I regale you with the tale, uh, how that can be used, like how an experience like this can be used to help to write uh, a good prom story. You know, like for instance with the promening. While the promening does absolutely steal a bunch of stuff from other movies, especially horror movies that use the prom as a setting. There's stories that are there. I'm pretty certain. I think if we talked with Liam, we'd find out either whether he went to prom or not, and just how other people who worked on the show maybe added some of their own experiences. Anyways, here's the story. Uh, cough, cough, Carrie. Yeah, no, they absolutely used Carrie. Hey, we got Misty Lord here. Yer, great to have you here, Misty Lord. Okay, so here's my story, and maybe these are some of the things I'm going to share are details that people like Dorcas and I'm Omega haven't yet heard. We'll see. So, uh, my senior year, I didn't go to my prom my junior year. Didn't have anyone to ask. I also, in a way, didn't really want to go because I didn't realize it at the time, but I was in the middle of like a massive bout of depression. I didn't realize until way later on. I was like, oh, wait a second, I've got depression. Oh, and like back then that was not one of those things that you drop because people are like, you're suicidal. And it's like, no, I'm not suicidal. I just not feeling it, you know? any case, any case, my senior year, I'm like, you know what? It's my senior year. I want to go. So I had a crush on this one girl. and I decided I was going to ask her out to the prom. It was silly. It was silly, but you know what? When you're asking someone out to the prom, I think it's okay to be silly. I made for her a lei with a bunch of bees on it, and with a little note saying, "Will you be my date for the prom?" Never got an answer back from her. Got ghosted. And so, like, after, like, a week or 2 of just like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, I don't have a date. What's the point of going to the prom if I don't have a date? Or if I do go, I'm gonna go stag, show up for a little bit, let them stare at me in envy, and then I'm gonna leave." But I was like, "But I don't really have the money to do that because at that time, my family was pretty poor." So, uh So I was trying to figure out what exactly I do with prom, and then my best friend at the time, Sterling, the absolute chat of the hour, came swooping in. He's all like, "Lars, you need a date for the prom?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." But I asked so and so, and she said no. And he's like, "Well, have you thought about taking?" And I'm like, "No, I have not." And he's like, "You should ask her out." I'm like, how would I do that? Now then, for the now then to kind of set the stage for this little bit. So I'm Mr. 5'6" senior. At the time I did weightlifting, so I was fairly in shape. But a 5'6" guy is just a 5'6" guy, easily lost in a crowd. Hagen is on the girls' basketball team, and she was just an absolute unit of a forward. You did not want to be on the receiving end of a check from Tegan, who towered a foot over me. So that's like, oh, Sterling, you really have me aiming high, I guess. And so Sterling's like, okay, Lars, tonight you're going to ask Tegan. I'm like, uh, thanks for giving me the notice. How am I supposed to do this? He's like, trust me, I got this covered. So that night, Sterling and I went. We bought some goldfish. We then went on. We crept on over to her house and put a tarp in the back of her truck, duct taped the tarp down, and then we filled it with water and put the goldfish in, and then we rigged a fishing line over the back of her truck with a sign that read, "Of all the fish in the sea, will you go with me, Lars, to the prom?" And she said yes. For as corny as that was, and and so I got to go with her to the prom. Now then, one of the ways that, like, again, because my family was pretty poor at the time, one of the ways that this was made possible was because I had also competed, and this is a totally other story. I had competed in my school's mock beauty pageant, where instead of girls going up there and being all like, "Woo, Mrs. Mountain View," it was Mr. Mountain View. So it was the guys. The guys got to go up there and just basically, rather than look handsome and purry, it was all the guys go up there and just act ridiculous. It was amazing. Because I was a contestant in that, all contestants, whether they won or not, got to have free tux rentals for the prom. So already right there, that's like $300 that I don't have to bother paying. Yay. Uh, so so I gotta go. I get so I go with my friend Cody and his date to go pick up Tegan. We then go on over to my friend Sterling's place, where there's something about Sterling's family. Uh, so and my oldest sister can actually attest to this. because we were both best friends with different siblings in that family. They still are absolute wizards at parties. Like, I kid you not. They can make anything happen. You ask them, "Hey, can I have a party where we're gonna throw a luchador riding a shark into a volcano?" They will somehow magically make that happen. Uh, and so they did so they had so Sterling had put on, like, this whole, like, fairy tale, pavilion in his backyard. It was incredible. It was absolute like, it was like it was like walking onto the set of a movie. There have only been a few other moments in my life where I've experienced anything quite as surreal as just, like, where it felt like I walked literally into a different world. Neusch is one of the few places that can compare. And if any of you ever get the chance to go to Neusch, it will knock your socks off. It is insane, that fairy tale palace. Anyways, um, so we have a great time. We have a great time having dinner. All the dates are having a good time. It's wonderful. It's time to then go to the prom. Now then, in order to understand the horror, like, because much like with the promening, there's a term for the horrific. So that's me. I get like that's me. That's me. I competed in a male beauty pageant, got a tux, got persuaded by my best friend to go ask out one of the girls on the basketball team. We have an incredible time. We're going now out to dance. On the other side of all this, there was a girl who really, really, really wanted to be accepted as one of the coolest kids on campus. She wanted to be the kid in charge of everything. On top of that, she really, really wanted to be part of the Jewish community at my school. There was a pretty sizable Jewish community. And the thing is this, the reason why she failed to be one of the most popular kids, and the reason why she failed to be accepted into the Jewish community at my school was because she was very annoying, and very high on herself. And so a lot of the Jewish kids actually were like, "Yeah, no, we don't accept you." And she's like, "But I'm Jewish." And I kid you not, I this actually happened. This actually happened. I was there. I was there when she complained about this. This where she's all like, "I am Jewish. Look at my nose." And she pointed to her nose. And like everyone was all like, "You just crossed the line right there." It's all like, "Thank you for buying into that stereotype." And like all of the Jews on campus were all like, at that point, absolute disavowal of her. They didn't want to have anything to do with her. So, how then could she be one of the most popular girls on campus, be in charge of everything, and get the Jewish community to accept her? Oh, very simple. All she had to do was steal the student body election, crown herself. I kid you not, she crowned herself as student body president without a single person voting for her. She then hijacked the prom committee. She said, "What about her nose?" Exactly, exactly. She's like, "Look how big my nose is." And it's just like, way to buy into the stereotype. No, no. So she hijacked the class elections, made herself president without ever being voted for. She then hijacked the prom committee so that way she could be in total control of it. And then she quit the contract that my school had with the University of Arizona to use its massive ballroom. The university's ballroom is huge. And got instead a contract to then have the prom over at the Jewish Community Center, which is fine and all. The Jewish Community Center is a nice place, but the prom happened to coincide with their Holocaust memorial display. And so, when everyone went to go to the proms, they're waiting in line to enter into the minuscule dance hall. They're all surrounded by pictures of the Holocaust. So it's like it's so cheery. And oh boy. And by holding it at the JCC, which the entirety of the U of A ballroom could swallow the Jewish Community Center. So that means that the dance hall that we were using was maybe an eighth of the size, maybe somewhere between a sixth to the eighth of the size of what we would have gotten over at the University of Arizona. So you are cramming in almost half of the student body, because again, this is back in the day where loads of people were expected to go to prom. Most people did go to prom. So you have about half of the eligible student body, most juniors and seniors, along with those weirdos who brought their freshman and sophomore girlfriends and boyfriends, all crammed into a space designed for 100 people. It was a nightmare. After you pass by all of the pictures, you then go into this dance hall where no one could actually dance because we were all packed in like sardines. The music was super loud, so no one actually knew what was even being played. It was just deafening. And so we got there. Almost immediately, I ran into a guy from the football team who was almost blackout drunk, and kept trying to pick fights with people. And so another guy from the football team had to keep grabbing him and shoving him back into his seat and basically talk to him like a dog. Be like, no, no, we do not hit other people. And the other guy's like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr." That was like getting just there onto the dance floor. My group fought our way to one side of the hall, trying to find a place where the girls could put their purses. There was like a purse mountain, where all of the other girls from the school had put their purses while trying to dance, and absolutely failing because again we were sticking like 400 to 500 people into a space meant for 100. And right next to the purses was a line of all these people who had passed out. And some of them had passed out because they had panic attacks and hyperventilated. Most of them had passed out because they'd used too much drugs in the bathroom. And their friends were dragging them out of the bathroom and throwing them against the wall next to the purse mountain. So, needless to say, we didn't stay there very long. After about half an hour of going deaf, Sterling's like, "Okay, we're all leaving." So our group rounded up. We all got back into Cody's van, and we drove out to a church where the parking lot was totally empty. And then Sterling busted out a boombox along with bubbly and snacks. And then we had a proper dance there in an empty parking lot, which was fun. And then took taken home, and that was the night. Absolute like I had tons of fun. At the same time, I also knew that was absolutely bizarre, and that's not how a prom should go. And yes, Doug, I mean, I have seen the trailer for Coyote versus Acme, and I love that it is getting so much love. And I hope it does immensely well at the box office. Screw you, David Zaslav. Okay, put a pin in that because I have a little rant for later. Let's put a pin in that. But yeah, so okay, so there's my ridiculous prom story. Now then, other than having a chance to just tell a funny story in a live stream, how exactly can something like that help? For instance, with writing something like the promening. Here's what you can do. You can draw on those kinds of, again, real experiences to craft life or pump life into the scenario. So let's say that you wish to let's say that you wish to write a prom. And you're obviously you're more focused on your two romantic leads who are going to get together and it's going to be so cute. Well, beyond say beyond just that, uh beyond just that, you can think about, okay, so how what is this prom going to be like? Like, how is the prom itself going to be a help or a hindrance to the couple? And if you guys want to get in on this, share with me kind of like your thoughts of romantic pairings. You can even take romantic pairings not from your own stories, but from other stories. Like we brought up earlier, Avatar: The Last Airbender, so like Aang and Katara. Or if it were me, because the shipper that I am would say Aang and Toph, but that's another matter entirely. Uh, 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 put down some romantic couples, and we can actually see what it'd be like to put them into a prom setting. So, for instance, if we want the prom to be a hindrance to the romantic couple, for one the thing, you can obviously have it where they end up going with different people to the prom. Ooh la la, the drama. You can also have it where, oh look, there's just so many people at this dang dance. How are you ever going to find each other? And so, like, the difficulties there, or maybe they did go to the prom together, but again, there's just so many people there. It's hard to have a moment. And it's just like this just feels awkward. Why are we here? And where all of just being exposed to all of that energy, to all those people, it can be taxing on a person. You can go to that experience, you can go to a dance like the prom and leave feeling utterly exhausted. And not because you actually danced the night away, but just because you were in a very overstimulating environment. So that can be that like that in of itself could be a huge hindrance. Let's say one of your characters deals with anxiety or is antisocial, has autism. Those things, while in of themselves not bad. In fact, for autism is not a bad thing. But that does mean that social settings take on a different flavor, take on a different form for that person. And so, how then does one of your characters who's dealing with who's again either anxious, antisocial, or autistic, how would that affect them? How would that in turn then affect their dynamic with their romantic partner? So you can already then just easily develop, again, just all sorts of hindrances, all sorts of drama, just based off of, well, the setting. Now then, what about my crazy story where the girl like hijacks the whole prom committee and all of that? You can also add that in where maybe your characters are like, oh, we're just gonna have the best night ever. It's gonna be the best night of our lives. Yay, we're so in love, teenage love. And then they start finding out that this one person is already just kind of going ahead and ruining everything by having a bad venue. The music selection already sounds awful, or even maybe like this person has like a vendetta against one of your characters or both of your characters, and it tends to use the prom as a place to shame them or put them in their place or just make the night awful. Very Carrie-esque, though maybe without dropping the blood all over all over the girl. There are all different kinds of ways that you can easily make the prom a hindrance to your couple or to your characters by the drama that you can pull in from from different characters outside of their group. What the setting is like, how negatively it can affect your cast of characters. And uh, let's take for instance, right here with murder drones. When we look say when we look at episode 3, you have a lot of drama going in there. Obviously, Doll has been murdering all of the contestants for Prom Queen in order to ensure that V will become Prom Queen, allowing her to then be properly set up right where Doll can then skewer her in front of everyone and offer. Why Doll is doing it in such a public way? Well, it's probably the only good way that she can ensure that she can get V. She knows that V as a murder drone is going to show up at the school with the intent of murdering all of the students. Did you see the new Murder Drones merch drop announcement? Yes, I did. In fact, I even have that queued up for us to talk about, uh, if we uh, if we so wish and desire. Um, but so like the doll. So as far as like the prom goes, doll is adding in the hindrance by plotting a murder, and then Kitty is, well, going along with it. An extra hindrance that's added is that Khan uh, asks Kitty and Doll to take care of Uzi at the prom, taking her away from all of her amazing investigative research and and making her a ridiculous spider web on the ceiling. You then have N, who wants to fit in, and so he's like, I want to go to the prom and have a great time. It's also great that he manages to find such excellent attire on dead humans. And again, V wants to go there to just, well, slaughter everyone, do her thing, because again, it's all about, as we find out at the end of the series, she's trying to do her part of keeping up her end of the deal with Absolute Solver and make sure that it's just her and N. And while I would argue that V would actually love to go to a dance with N, because as is revealed by the end of the series, she actually does love him. Say that spark wasn't entirely erased after all the times that Absolute Solver rebooted them in order to torture them. There is indeed that feeling there, but who and what V has become in order to protect N leads her down this particular path. Again, just some interesting hindrances in the midst of all of this. So, what then? What good does the prom then do? Well, the prom does bring together N and Uzi, and puts Uzi in a situation where, in the previous episode, she'd been all blushy about Thad. Ooh, Thad. But in this episode, her thoughts and attention start going more towards N. And not just like, oh, blushy, I like N now all of a sudden. But N is the one person who goes out of his way to find her, to be with her, treat her as an actual friend, and not make fun of her for being so small and having a dark dress. And so they go to the prom together to save everyone from V and obviously from Doll. That Doll, once they get there, and they're like, oh wow, this was not what I was expecting. And then they get to share a moment fighting together, and we got all the danciness. And as N continues to help and protect Uzi, this is where Uzi's something like, I think I might, like, honestly, if we want to trace it back to where Uzi starts developing feelings for N, starts developing romantic feelings for N, it's at the prom. The prom is what truly kicks off that ship within the story. So again, thinking about what you can do with the prom. The prom, if you should, or really any sort of uh, social extravaganza, we should say, that you wish to use within any of your stories, shouldn't just simply be there to be window dressing, but should be there as a means of pushing the story along, but specifically for helping push along the development for your characters. And another example I can give, which is not for Murder Drones, but for my story Whitefire, fairly early on. So there are intended to be two social gatherings, or I should say, dances, balls in this story. The very first one is of this ball that is being thrown by the dragon Gossip. Now, she's not present. Her emissaries are there, and everyone who goes to one of Gossip's hot balls, wait, that's probably the wrong way of putting it, to one of the to one of Gossip's hot balls. Can't take that one back now. For everyone who's invited or decides to invite themselves to Gossip's amazing galas, if you go there, there's an understanding that you're not just there for the food and the dance and the music. You're there to meet with her emissaries, the Gossips. The Gossips will share all kinds of delectable news, insights, and rumors with you in exchange for you sharing rumors and information of your own. Because the Dragon Gossip hoards drama and, well, gossip. And so it's a great place to go to get information. It's a great place to go to network, and not just simply for the parties. The Hot Goss Gala. I like that. The Hot Goss Gala. So are most of the main characters already early on in Whitefire. So, like, within the first 10 chapters of the book, as far as I've got it written out, or the plan written out, go to this gala. They go to this ball. And the reason being is to get information, to make contacts. As one of our main characters, Eric, has just met a dragoness who's all like, "Hey, I've got already some work that I think that I can bring you along for. I just need to meet people who are willing to take this job with me." And so he's like, "You should come with me to this party." The party's a chance for you to meet people who might be your coworkers. On top of that, it's a chance for him to kind of get to see how Eric, who is basically a country bumpkin, handles himself in a very intense and overwhelming social gathering. Whitefire is there because she's also been told by her contacts within the Dragon Slayers organization that there's a job waiting for her there. So she's going to end up meeting the Dragoness and Eric through that. This is kind of how these characters end up meeting for the first time, for the very first time. And then for Eric himself, this is a chance to prove himself. It's also a chance when he's like, "Oh my gosh, there's gossips here." The reason why Eric wants to become a dragonist is so that way he can find the dragon who murdered his dragon lord, leading to the collapse of his home community and the death of his family. He wants revenge, but he doesn't know who did it. But maybe one of the gossips knows. So he then goes to talk with the gossips and see if there's any way of trading information to get what he needs to find the dragon who committed this horrible deed. And while he's there, he meets Whitefire's squire, Lena, and instantly he's like, "Oh my gosh, pretty lady, pretty lady, pretty lady! I am in love with this young lady," and so he's then very extra incentivized to take the job with Whitefire because being with Whitefire means that he gets to be close to Lena. So not only is this ball a chance to kind of bring our characters together in a situation that's not just a party meets in a tavern, but it's a chance to have Eric get introduced to what's going to be some real drama for him, being head over heels for this girl he doesn't even know, while trying to find information on the dragon who killed his dragon lord. And for Whitefire, she now is going to meet this young bumpkin who's just all like, "Oh no, you want me to work with him? No." So the party is a chance to start setting up character dynamics that will then play on throughout the rest of the book. There is another party opportunity that happens a bit later on. as all of the adventurers and assassins who are going off to rescue Silandria from the great and terrible dragon Thornbeard. As they are on their way, they come across a bunch of young dragons who are out raiding. Young dragons in Whitefire go around attacking other dragons, but mostly humans and dragonborn, to grab their goodies and create hordes of their own. Well, these raiders come across the party of our main characters, and Eric, who has just a fantastic ability to speak to dragons in a way that charms them, he manages to talk his way out of the party getting attacked by these young raiders. And so instead, these young dragons are all like, "You're a funny, interesting human. You know what would be great? If you came to a party with us." And so Eric, along with the others, get invited to a young dragons party, which is more of a massive literal mosh pit. And not just like, oh, everyone's moshing. Like, no, it's like a massive pit where dragons are dancing. And so they come to this rambunctious party that's made up of mostly very young, very dangerous dragons. And so in that particular setting, the social setting, the dance, is really not there for the romance, but rather instead, this is the unintended consequence of talking your way out of getting mugged. Hey, I wasn't mugged by dragons, so I got invited to a dragon mosh pit, and now I am fearing for my life. And so basically, the party now has to figure out how to survive a very, very rowdy, dangerous party with about 100 young dragons who these dragons are more interested in each other than they are the squishy humans underfoot. So it's basically the party becomes an exercise in survival. And so that's, again, something that you can do with a party setting. I feel like when it comes to fantasy, especially since I'm talking about my own fantasy story right here, when people think parties for fantasies, like they're thinking about like, yes, the treachery, the betrayals, the murders, yes. And I think that's because moments like that have been made very popular. Thanks to stuff like the Red Wedding, or I know I can't speak authoritatively on this, but to my understanding, I haven't read the book, but at the beginning of the King Killer Chronicles, the story opens up with a massive party. And at this party that the main characters are at is where the drama gets initiated. Where, again, it's called the King Killer Chronicles. That means a king is going to die. Something really awful is going to happen because of this party. And so I think people are all like, oh yeah, fantasy parties, bad stuff should happen there. But it doesn't have to be. You can use parties again to set up relationships or set up group dynamics to encourage character development, to hinder character development. You can have it where people know going into the party that it's just going to be absolutely redonkulous, and there's a chance that they might die, not due to treachery, just because it's an insane party. It's a dangerous party, whether that be because of dancing dragons who don't care about humans underfoot, because of drugs, or because a dangerous gang has put together this party, or because you have something like with the Promening, where it's all just a grandiose setup to murder someone else. Like, there's so many different ways you can make a party dangerous, and you don't have to make a party dangerous. So, yeah, writing parties. I I feel like, again, I feel like it's something where, because it's no longer such a big deal, again, to go to stuff like the prom, and who here even thinks about winter formal these days in high school? Uh, yeah, people just aren't. People, I think, just aren't exactly tuned in anymore to using big party situations to to develop the plot, to give good character development. These days, whenever I see like a prom or a party depicted in a show or a movie or a book, it's really just window dressing for a particular scene, a scene that honestly could have been played out in any other environment. It was just that whoever put this together was like, I love the prom. Let me just let me just sprinkle that prom spicing all over this scene. If you're going to use a party, embrace it. Make it interesting. Think about all the different people that could be there. Why is this happening? And what do different people expect going into this party? How might those expectations be met? How might they be subverted? There's so many different things that you can do with a party setting. We don't just need to simply lock ourselves into the very dangerous and the very romantic. We have an entire horizon of amazing opportunities before us. Says I was coming home from a HEMA class, and on my way, I saw a prom at the fairgrounds. Right outside, I saw three couples garbed in cloaks and dressed like a scene out of Harry Potter. That is awesome. I appreciate that. That's another fun example right there. The Yule Ball. The Yule Ball from Harry Potter. There's so much that happens during the Yule Ball. And why does the Yule Ball happen? Well, not only is it because it's tradition, but because it's a way of figuring out who the most important people are for the contestants. So that way they can be abducted and put at the bottom of the big lake. Yeah. Doug says, "Oh yeah, just for you to know, the Amazing Digital Circus has a collaboration of Little Kitty Big City that makes the first time Glitch Productions collabed on a video game." Well, that's really cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, let's see here. Anyone else got any things that they wish to bring up in regards to a prom party setting for a story? Well, have you seen the masquerade scene in Helsing? I have not. I must admit, I have seen very little of Helsing. I'm Omega, but knowing what I do know of Helsing, it's got to be crazy. Wonder is here. Great to have you here, Wonder. I want so badly to have an animated adaptation of my story by Glitch. Hey, work on your story, make it as best as you can, make some artwork for it, and shop it around. I bet that loads of people contact Glitch, and I get they probably are like, well, thank you very much, but we're not taking submissions. But you never know. You never know. Oh, you mean so Van Helsing? Ah, the masquerade scene in the movie Van Helsing. Ah, yes, that is a fun creepy scene. I love that. Where like it's passed off as, oh, it's at a party, it's at a masquerade ball. Therefore, it's going to be neutral territory because you're going to be surrounded by all these people. And lo and behold, it's a massive trap because everyone in there is a bunch of vampires. That was a fun twist. That was a fun twist. And I also really enjoy how the ridiculous weapon that the monk has at the beginning comes into play. So you actually emailed them a few times, never got a response. Oh, Wonder, I understand that. I understand. I mean, it's disheartening. Believe me, it's disheartening. What I just say is this: again, just continue working on your story. Make it the best that you can make it. With the way things are going with Glitch, if their foray into theaters with the Amazing Digital Circus is a resounding success, and also like other things are happening on the sides, like if Lackadaisy also does very well, which now Glitch has attached their names to, that will mean like if those two things go really well for Glitch, that is going to mean that they will have way more sponsorships, way more money coming their way, and will allow them to expand their teams and take on more projects. They really do want to be able to get into a situation where they can take on far more ideas because there's so many people like you and like me out there that have these great ideas that we want to make into accessible stories, like animated stories, animated shows for others. But they only have so many resources. And that's one of the difficult things. There's only so many resources for everyone, and so while they're trying to make it work out for the most people possible, you also need to make sure that you're doing your part and getting yourself out there as much as you can with your story, and hopefully the stars align and a dream becomes reality. That's And even if it doesn't, by you already working more and more on your story to make it the best that it can be, you are improving as a creator. Your story is coming together, and you might then find your own way of making it happen. Like if the stars don't align, doesn't mean you can't find a beautiful star, and make it happen on your own. But it only happens if you put in the effort. Which I know I'm preaching to half the choir here when I say that, but that is the optimistic outlook that all of us need as creators if we really want to push forward. Working in the creative field is my dream. I can't work at Food City for the rest of my life. Oh yeah, and you shouldn't. Thou shouldst not work at Food City for the rest of thy life. Uh, yeah, no, being in the creative field is also really where I want to be, and I get it. It is hard. I mean, I've got to work part time myself in order to make ends meet. Because yeah, writing and YouTube, as much fun as they are, don't exactly pay the bills. Not yet. I would say not yet. Hopefully, I get there. Alrighty. Well, let's see here. Say from all of that with prom, I think that we've kind of prommed ourselves out, which is kind of the hint I'm getting. Well, let's have a little bit of fun and look at let's have a little bit of fun and look at the little merch trailer that was dropped for us. I'm working on a scratch build of the Astro Megazord. On a scratch build of the Astro Megazord. Interesting. No, there's so many Zords out there. Astro Megazord. I'm gonna have to quickly I'm gonna quickly look this up right here because I know I've heard that, and I'm just not picturing. Okay, there we are. All right. Yep. Seen that. Oh man. I love the commitment of the Japanese actors to wear those uh, amazing full body suits of those monsters and Zords, and go through smacking each other with rubber claws and swords. I absolutely appreciate all the work that goes into that. Warren says, "Oh, by the way, I apologize. Hey, your copy of my book has a huge error in it. I've since fixed it, but I apologize again." Well, no worries. I've got your book. The For those who don't know, Draw the Line, Blue Origins. Please feel free to check out Wonder's book. Again, Draw the Line, Blue Origins. All right. So, like I said, I think that we've kind of prommed ourselves out here, but there's still there's still a little bit of Murder Drones to talk about and have some fun with.
I rip out your entrails to the amusement of others. I force you day after day into a cycle of pain and despair before I toss you back out into a cold, cruel world. What am I? Hi!
School! Ah, yes, school. Actually, you know what? I would say I honestly would say that your typical like public school doesn't do that to you as much as college does.
Serial designation ends the name. Trying to integrate into the education system after murdering many of the students is my game. Yeah, turns out literally cutting the student body in half kinda gets you the cold shoulder. Unless you're V for some reason.
Don't.
So
Unless you're V for some reason. I wonder why. Because it's V. It's V. If you were dating V, my man, you would already have the inroad, you had the in lane to be the most popular guy on campus, and also the most loathed and despised because you're dating V. But you've already made your choice, man. Choose love and love your choice. I also love how they have this monument to Doll. It's like, okay, guys, we've heard you. You all love Doll, and Liam sucked for killing her off the way that he did. Okay, yeah, here's more Doll.
I had to get creative with my approach to befriend the locals. Ugh, it's so hard living with the fame of having 700 followers, right?
700?
1,000?
You clearly have no idea how cool that makes you. Want to hang out with us?
From that moment on, my stat...
Okay, so real quick, check out the King Ogre or RPM's Ultra Zord to really see what commitment in a Zord suit looks like. Oh boy, I'll have to do that. But real quick interjection of a story here. So across my time, not actually in high school, but in college. Weirdly enough, it was in college. I have climbed the social ladder of coolness, which is weird to say because in college is just so big. Like there's thousands upon thousands of students from all over the country and oftentimes from all over the world there. There's no way that any one person, unless you are an absolute star athlete that everyone knows, like the most amazing quarterback or the most amazing basketball or soccer player on campus, unless you are one of the biggest athletes of all time, no one, like, you're not going to be all that well known on campus. But there was a time where, as an undergrad, I managed to somehow climb that social ladder, where it wasn't just, oh, my immediate circle of friends knows me, but like I am known by hundreds, if not by now thousands of students. I don't even know who you people are. What did I do to get to this point? And in all honesty, like thinking back to like, what did I do? It was there was a combination of things. One is that because once there's some people who are just the worst, who the moment that they see that you or someone else is suddenly doing really well when they aren't, they try to cause all kinds of drama behind the scenes. So I found out later on that there was all kinds of nasty rumors swirling around about me on campus. And so either people were like, dude, it's amazing that you're showing your face in public. Or other people are all like, dude, you are my hero for doing all those things. And me, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But at the same time, there are those people who actually got to know me for all the other insane things I do. If you want to be really popular, go and act like an absolute goofball at a dance, make loads of enemies, and then shrug it off like you just don't care. Suddenly, all these people are like, you are amazing. You are fearless. I want to be like you. It all started in Jerusalem when I was just a boy. It all started in Jerusalem when I was just a boy. But yeah, so you want to be really popular, you got to do something crazy. People will suddenly take notice of you, and you will have, quote unquote, friends. Those 700,000. And just as it goes with N, my time in the spotlight did not last very long. and probably for the best.
This at Copper 9 High was secured.
There it is.
2 followers?
Okay, so obviously Mr. Popular wasn't the right approach. But Mr. Unpopular...
Hey, want to talk about death?
Yeah? Never mind.
It's so true. You have those people who are like, I want to be popular, but I'm going to be angsty. And like they get a rise, they get a rise. They love getting a rise out of people. And then the moment that someone's all like, hey, I want to talk about that, they're like, I don't know. This is all just for show. And then they run off and leave. All right, so I'm popular at work for knowing what I'm doing, always helping out, and sword fighting. Oh, so those are amazing things to be popular for, and especially at work. Helping people out, that's a great way to treat your colleagues, and sword fighting is just dang cool.
Somebody talk to me! Until I had an epiphany. I wasn't getting anywhere as a one-man show. I needed a posse.
I am not gonna start
The recruits were a bit hesitant at first, but I whipped them into shape with my commanding demeanor.
I know that the merch commercials are not technically canon, but I do like how they draw on V again, still being very much in N's corner. If the show were to ever continue, that is something that I would hope that they explore, like what that is like for her, being someone who for all this time has loved N and now has lost him on over to Uzi, and she's willing to let Uzi have the pass because, well, she trusts that Uzi will protect the most important person to her, which is N, and Uzi has shown that, and then she's not going to hurt N now by getting rid of Uzi. So there's an interesting alliance between V and Uzi at this point. And so to have the two of them be willing to work together to make N look cool and popular, despite the fact that Uzi is definitely not a popular kid, I like that. I really like that because it's a dynamic that is born out of the show, and it's one that could actually be explored again if the show were to go forward.
How do you do, fellow scholars? Lizzie says you're not cool, and I'm a sheep, so... You're right. I'm not cool. I'm really cool! Posse, back me up! What was that?
You said blast him up.
You know I didn't say that!
Again, such a V thing to do, as was seen in episode 4. And yes, you're right. I'm not cool. I'm really cool. That is the kind of confidence that I wish everyone would have. Be more confident in yourself. Ugh. And there we go. Then we just go into the merge. Brayden always gets the bull at the end of the muzzle. So sad. Yeah, I know. And yeah, he still keeps coming back. Just wow. This Brayden it is a real trooper. Okay, actually, you know what? So here's another story from Lars. That from high school. So I went to school with a kid named Brayden. He and I were actually the same age, but because my birthday was way sooner in the year than his, I ended up being a grade ahead of him in high school. And the interesting thing is that we were, I guess you could say, rivals. As silly and kind of inaccurate as that is, the weird thing is that if there was any rivalry, it was kind of a rivalry actually between our moms, who knew each other at church, and just it created some odd drama. And let's just put it that way. And so like you got me, who's the nerd, and then you got Brayden, who's the cool jock that like everyone liked and everyone looked up to. And just the manufactured animosity that didn't need to exist between us, it came to a head and then ended the way that, sadly enough, it doesn't go these days anymore, where guys can just go behind the dumpster, beat each other up, and then become friends afterwards. We were on a scout camping trip, and we had this insane game of capture the flag late at night in a canyon. Yes, we were playing capture the flag across a canyon. So like climbing up canyon walls, going crashing and bashing our way through cacti and trees. It was crazy. It was dangerous. We loved it. And we were stupid enough to have a free for all zone where you couldn't actually be tagged out. This meant that as tensions ran high between the two groups, it led to us coming to blows. And so as the two groups come and just start and you just got these scouts just like beating up on each other, because that's not like it's against the scout code or anything. Yeah. I was bad. I did something I shouldn't have. I took my flashlight and I clubbed him over the head with it. Now, I was not that strong, and I was being dumb, and thankfully I hit wrong. So it was a glancing blow. It hurt him. It didn't do as much damage as it could have, thankfully. So Braden then flipped me around, threw me into the dirt, and then proceeded to grind my face into the sand. It was incredibly embarrassing. After that, two of us were kind of like, okay, yeah, we can both hit each other. Lars is a bit of a wimp. Okay. Braden will absolutely win. Okay, we understand. Also, that's kind of cool. We're out here together at night playing awesome capture the flag. We tried to beat each other up. Brother. And like after that, we just became good friends. Friends all the way out through high school. We didn't really see much of each other in college, in part because he went to Utah. I stayed here in Arizona. But when he got married, he invited me to his wedding. So I got to go to his wedding. And it was fun seeing him again. And he's living his best life. I think he's got like 4 kids now. So like, good for Braden. Yeah, so there's the Braden and my story. Became friends because we beat each other up. Mostly he beat me up after I tried beating him up in a game of capture the flag in the middle of a canyon at night. I had a game of capture the flag in a church camp in Alaska midwinter. Oh, that's intense. I felt so cold sneaking through the snow at night and stealing one of the four teams' flags. That sounds amazing. And also sounds incredibly cold. I've never played capture the snow. I've never played capture the flag in the snow before. So also with the same Braden, and also with a lot of people from that same group, it was epic. Oh, I bet it was. That sounds so cool. The only time I've ever done like a true winter excursion, half of us were flirting with hypothermia by the end. That's another crazy story, but another insane capture the flag story was we went out to a place called Butt Rock. It was called Butt Rock because it looked like a massive butt sticking itself up out of the earth. It was quite the sight. Well, at night we would play capture the flag around and on the butt, and there was one, and so one night, so we came out there camping multiple times, and one night it just we just kind of went tactical, like both teams, and so we're playing lights out, and so everyone turned their lights off. So no lights on, only by the light of the stars are we crawling through all of this brush. Again, cacti, think cacti, poisonous plants, poisonous insects, snakes. All of this is out there, and we're just crawling along like we don't have a care in the world. And that was such a brutal night. Half of us should have died that night or gotten seriously injured because of all the insane things we were doing because we couldn't see what we were doing. One guy scaled up a cliff about 50 feet high, almost a sheer cliff, without climbing gear in order to escape getting caught. He didn't realize until the next day just how close he was to falling down a 50-foot cliff. I got chased at one point. I was climbing up the back of the butt. And the other team was all like, there he is, there's Lars. And so like I'm running them through trees, they're crashing through trees, and as I'm running just in some bizarre direction, I see an area in front of me that was darker than all the others. And so I just ran and jumped and just flew, hit the ground running. I was stumbling. I see another gap of darkness, and I just full on just like hurled myself over this darkness, just being like, yeah, there's probably just like open area right there. I thought I was just leaping from boulder to boulder. No, I was leaping off of like these 15, 20 foot drops. That there were these massive sections of basically what had once been a plateau that had like crumbled. And I was jumping from section of plateau to section of plateau, avoiding falling 15, 20 feet into a bunch of thorny bushes. Braden was not so lucky, or I should say he didn't think to jump over the darkness. At one point when he was getting chased, he decided he would jump into the darkness because he's like, there's a hole there, no one's going to find me. He jumped and fell 15 feet into this thorny bush that shredded his legs. He got into so much trouble when he got home because his shoes, his pants were just torn to tethers and into tatters, and he was bleeding so bad that night from that jump. Oh, holy cow. Yeah, we were like when we went out in the daytime to like, man, that was so cool last night, and we were just like, oh my gosh, we're like, we were so close to being dead. Like we never had another game that crazy because like that stuck with us. We're like, we were so close to dying. But so many of us could have gotten so badly hurt that night. Like Braden got the worst of it. It could have been worse for any of us. So from that point on, like we had plenty of other games, but we never went that crazy. But yeah, no, it was a ton of fun. You seriously got balls. Oh yeah, no, it was nuts. I says the cool thing about my Capture the Flag game is that snowballs were our ammunition. So if you got hit by a snowball, you had to act out the injury until your teammates tap your shoulder to revive you. Much safer than your game, but we did have to be careful about the edge of the lake, which wasn't yet fully frozen. Oh boy, yeah, no, slipping into a cold lake in the middle of winter, yeah, that would have been bad. But yeah, no, that was a really, really fun night. But again, like it was one of those moments where teenagers actually like exercised real caution. Where after that point, we're like, yeah, no, we're not doing that again. that was so dangerous. But yeah, that was a good time, man. Capture the Flag in the snow though sounds amazing. I would do that. I would absolutely go play some Capture the Flag in the snow. So I said I like one. I actually have a couple of winter excursions. But the night that brought on like almost hypothermia for half of us was so again in scouting, scoutmaster who wanted to teach us snow survival. So we went up into the mountains to learn how to survive in the snow. But the thing is that we got up there a week or two too late. By that time, a lot of the snow had become packed and turned into ice. On top of that, it was raining and really turned everything into slush and ice. So when we got to the campsite, it was soaked, it was frozen, it was miserable, but you got a bunch of teenagers like, yeah, we're gonna survive in the snow. And Skymaster's like, yeah, yeah, it's not gonna happen. Just you guys brought tents, set up your tents. And the tents, all of them got flooded with ice, snow, and mud. One guy, Nathan, he had brought a hurricane tent. His hurricane tent was unusable because a small mudslide went into his tent and filled it, so he couldn't actually use it. My tent was both blessedly and stupidly on a slope. So all of the water went to one side of my tent. That night when I slept, I made sure to sleep where there wasn't any water on one side of the tent. But because I was on a slope, I slid down in the middle of the night. I slid into the freezing water. I woke up the next morning not having any feeling in my legs. It is really hard to walk when you can't feel your own legs. On that camp, Brayden is also there. Brayden accidentally, while they were trying to warm, Nathan and Michael were trying to warm their feet by having it next to an open burner, accidentally set his foot on fire. His sock caught fire, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" He was like, "But wait, no! Oh, that's so warm!" And the other two dragged him into the tent, which by this time had gotten filled with water, and they doused his foot in the water of the tent. But the absolute worst was for Seth and Casey, who they decided, in order to beat the snow and the rain, they went to these raised up covered platforms that were in the camping area. This was near an established like legit Boy Scouts of America campsite. So there was a bunch of different things set up for camps during the summer. So they thought, oh, we're going to go to this covered pavilion area where we'll be safe from the water and the snow, which was true. It was dry under there, but because it was raised, it got especially cold because there's no way, there's no chance for insulation. And there was a lot of wind, so the wind ripped through and underneath. We're in freezing temperatures. These guys got super cold to the point of nigh delirium. And because we were all like, we're macho boys, no one until Casey and Seth nearly got hypothermia called it quits and went into one of the cars and just like slept in the cars. That's where all the scout leaders stayed. None of the scout leaders pitched a tent and stayed in a tent. The rest of us, on the other hand, we all stayed in our tents and got frozen. And the worst part at the end was that we had set up a canvas. We had set up a canvas pavilion for our cook site, and during the night, rain had pooled on one part of the canvas, and then frozen, weighed down the tent. More rain collected there, froze, and so on and so forth. So there was this massive block of ice that was threatening to destroy this pavilion that we had set up over our cooking area. So we're like, well, we got to collapse this thing, or we got to get the ice out or collapse this thing before it tears the canvas and destroys it. So I was like, guys, we should just push this thing out. So I got underneath to like push the ice out. Brayden, Nathan, and Mike are like, nah, just collapse it. So as I was getting underneath to push the ice block out, they pulled the pins on the legs, causing the whole thing to come crashing down on top of me. So I got clobbered by this block of ice and lost my sense of direction for a little bit. So I have no feeling in my legs, and now I'm acting like a Looney Tunes character with little Tweety birds going around my head, like, what's happening? And Nathan almost got his jaw broken by one of the legs flying at his face at high speed. He was like, ah! He was freaking out because he almost got clobbered by the collapsing pavilion. After that, we're all like, we're going home. This sucks. So Capture the Flag is one of the games that I want to play again on a massive scale. 20-ish people on 4 teams sounds so fun. That does sound fun. And honestly, big games of Capture the Flag are just so much fun. I have done some big games of Capture the Flag since my scouting days with people in college or with like teenagers. And man, I have had such a blast each and every time. If you can organize it, definitely worth doing. I love Capture the Flag. And Tiger says, don't forget about that the Gameoverse will come out in May. I know, I'm so excited. Next month it comes out, which reminds me, I really need to record and edit a proper review for episode 8 of The Amazing Digital Circus. I am so behind on the times with that. Take a good drink of water right there. Yes, I highly recommend games to Capture the Flag. And Capture the Flag in the middle of winter just sounds absolutely fun. And throwing snowballs at each other as a part of it, like, sign me up. I am all about that. I am all for that. So me and my dad went hunting for caribou on the tundra one time. We had this insulated tent to protect against the cold, but not against the wind. Sucked the heat right out. Oh, oof. Oof. Yeah, no, the wind is the killer in the cold. Because, I mean, you can use snow to insulate yourself. But, man, the wind's chill factor is just a brutal one. So I'm glad that you and your dad made it out of the tundra just fine. All right, so let's see here. I guess let's see here. To determine where we might go next. What would you guys like to do next? I think it'd be fun to follow up a little bit on the discussion that Scott and I had about the most recent episode of Marriage Toxin, or we can just start diving into my reporting on how stories are coming along. What should we do? Should Marriage Toxin or a story updates? What shall it be for our next foray? And give me the chance to look up right here. We're gonna do the RPM Ultrazoid. I want to see what what commitment. Holy cow! Yes, that is indeed commitments, because that's ridiculous. That is how you make your shoulders and hips hurt after a while. That is so much to wear. And I love the explosions of sparks and everything. Oh my gosh. Yes. You gotta love the Japanese for all the amazing stuff that they've come up with. All right. So what's Marriage Toxin? I think I missed that one. And King Hoger. Let's look up God King Hoger. So ISO Marriage Toxin is one of the the anime that Scott and I are uh, are reviewing and analyzing for this particular season of anime, and what the story is that you've got this you've got this guy who has been raised as an assassin, excuse me, who his sister is basically going to be forced against her will to get married and have a bunch of babies because we need the line of poison users to continue. And well, she's in a relationship with a lady, with her girlfriend, and our main character Garo's like, I want you to be happy. I don't want you to be forced into a relationship that you don't want. I also know you don't want to be a poison user. You don't want to be an assassin. You try to get out of that life. So he tells his grandma, the matriarch of the family, that he will be the one to take over the family business, and he will be the one to get married, and he will be the one who will produce an heir. The only problem is this: Yarrow has no social skills. He doesn't know how to act around ladies. And so, well, lucky enough for him, he happens to be asked to assassinate a marriage swindler. This girl who has been going around causing trouble on this gangster's turf and has not been paying her dues. Well, so Garo goes to assassinate her, but then through conversations as he's killing her slowly with poison, he's like, "Wait a second, you could actually help me out. I need someone who understands dating and all of that. So I'm going to use you. I will save you, and in exchange, you will help me get married." And she agrees. But here's the thing: it's a guy. Kinosaki, the marriage swindler, is actually a dude dressing up as a girl to take advantage of guys. And so here you have this assassin with no social skills working together with a cross-dressing marriage swindler, trying to find the perfect partner for the assassin so that way he can get married. That is the premise of the story. And he gets to meet all of these different girls along the way. And and I know that a lot of the fans of the manga are all like, Garo and Kinosaki are going to get together. It's going to happen. I'm just going to say this, that the writing for the story is top notch in terms of like a harem premise, because every single girl is freaking gold. They all have a shot. They all have a special relationship with Garo, and Garo likes all of them equally in return. He is just beginning to better figure out himself and what he really wants in a compatible partner in romance. There's still a lot of story to go. And so anyone who's like, "Oh, I already know what the end game is," I'm like, no one knows what the end game is. Believe you me. And it's one of the very few harem stories out there that does a brilliant job of doing justice by all of the love interests. Every single love interest has a unique character and personality, has a unique character arc, and all of them are important in their own way. Another thing, hold on a sec here, I gotta let a cat out of the bag. Whoop. But another thing that this story just does incredibly well is that it also understands that within a harem setting, within a harem setup, the love interest in question also need to understand each other, to get along with each other, to develop their own relationships within this very complex dynamic. And that is something that this story does as well. I'll be honest. One of the very few other stories that I've seen actually handled this well is Wheel of Time. Not the show. The show is trash, but the books. The books do an amazing job of handling a harem dynamic between Rand, Min, Avienda, and Elaine. I do not like Elaine. In any case, the books do such a phenomenal job of handling a very tricky harem dynamic. Again, developing legitimate romantic relationships between the harem protagonist and all members of the harem, as well as giving each member of the harem their own individual character arcs that do not rely on the dude in order for these girls to have worth. And on top of that, having interactions between the girls that develop their relationships apart from, well, the romance aspect. And that's something that Marriage Toxin just does incredibly well. But the most recent episode, this is what Scott and I had a whole lot of fun talking about in our most recent video about the show, is that the third episode does a phenomenal job of addressing modern dating, and this is something that I really want to draw people's attention to, because I mean, I'll blame CW shows and HBO shows and Star shows for all this, and I'll also blame counter movement channels such as the Hallmark Channel for showing something that is just so very different in a way that isn't realistic. And it is that often is like modern dating is portrayed as basically it's just hookup culture. Just hook up. It's all about putting the notch in your belt, finding that person that you can have a fun, hot, sexy night with, and then if it was really good, then maybe you get back together at some other point in time. The Hallmark approach is oh, we saw each other, love at first sight, or awkwardness at first sight, and then I got to know his family. We had an awkward touch of the hands. There'll be no kissing in this good Christian show. And it's like both of these are extremes that don't necessarily work. They're ridiculous. One is about trying to have like the super chaste ideal version of romance, while the other one is just all about it's all shallow. It's instant gratification, and that is how oftentimes that's how so much romance ends up being portrayed. And as a result, people then who start trying to write their own stories based off of what they themselves have watched and read and have experienced, they end up oftentimes writing romances that are just either like bizarrely put together. You're like, how did these characters even get together? Like, there doesn't seem to have been any true mile marker to show that progress was had. Sure, we get that one of them likes the other, maybe they like each other, but what actually got them together? And that's the problem with a lot of people who kind of just take the Hallmark approach. That's just all like, oh, one or two little simple things come together and drama, and now we're just suddenly together. And it's like, no, romance is character development. And then you've got the opposite side, which is just mattress mumbo, which is, I'm sorry, everyone, but the hot and heavy is not romance either. It's an element, but it's not in and of itself romance. So you have a story like Marriage Toxin. And Marriage Toxin does a phenomenal job in its third episode of addressing that, hey, if I actually want to fall in love with you, I need to get to know you. Like Garo's all like is like Himikawa, the girl who you right now see wearing the shark hat. Not the blonde, that's Kinosaki, the cross-dressing dude, but the one with the auburn hair and wearing the shark hat. Himikawa, he's like Himikawa seems like an amazing woman. She's courageous. She knows what she wants. She's intelligent. She's resourceful. She's kind. Like, these are all such admirable qualities in a woman. Holy cow, I've got the hots for her. And again, Garo needs to get married in order to save his sister. But he's like, look, I want to get married, not just simply to help out my sister, but I want to get married because I want to have a happy family. In order to do that, I actually need to get to know you because I don't actually know you. I know that you're a babe and I know you're hot and cool, but other than that, I don't really know you. And on their very first date, as they begin to get to know each other a little bit more, it reveals to Garo that it's like there's so much more to this woman than just a fine slab of meat. And if I really want to care about her, if I really actually want a committed relationship, I need to start where it matters most. And that's when he's like, can we be friends? And not that like, hey, I'm friend zoning you. Like every other YouTuber was like, oh, Garo friend zoned Himikawa. Oh, Kinosaki for the win. Oh, and I'm like, no, that's not what happened in this episode. You have a guy who understands the situation that he's in, understands the commitment that he's aiming for. This is no Netflix and chill guy. He's all about that Hulu and commitment. That's something I always said in college, back when Netflix and chill was a thing. It was like, I'm not looking for Netflix and chill. I'm looking for Hulu and commitment, man. So Ghetto is all about that. Hulu and commitment. And in order to do that, you got to actually get to know the other person. And what better way to really get to know someone else than become a friend? And if you and you can think about people that you know in your own lives who have a strong romance with someone else. Maybe it's your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe a sibling and their spouse, maybe a really good friend and their spouse, or just a married couple that you know from work or from church or wherever, or from a place that you volunteer at. That you've met this couple, they're just so incredible, and they treat each other like best friends. Like that is where I think romance is at its absolute best, both in reality and in fiction. Because romance isn't just the hot and heavy, nor is it just, oh, I love the idea of being in love. Romance is a commitment that is made between people, not just characters, but between people, that we have feelings, we have attraction, but not just that. I want to be a part of your life, and I want you to be a part of mine. That means that we share, we work together, we become a team, we become one. And what's good, we share. What's bad, we share. We grow together. Where one can't walk, the other helps that one stand. When we can't go together, we stay together. And I mean, there's so much more that goes into a romance, into a relationship. I'm just giving surface level stuff right here. But if you want a romance, both in reality and in fiction, to be truly rewarding and to be long lasting, it can't just simply be about the hot and heavy, or because you love the idea of being in love. It needs to be a genuine commitment between two people who know and like each other. And so for Garo likes Himikawa. Himikawa, by the end of episode 3, likes Garo, but they don't actually know each other. And as I said in our review for this, I was up front. At one point in the episode, she's giving Garo like the bedroom eyes, because she's all like, I know he wants something from me. I'm feeling it right now. Like if he wants to find a hotel room, or he takes me back to his place, like I am ready for that. But that's just a one night stand. After that, life goes on, and they just then become just ships passing in the night. But Garo, rather than asking for the quick and easy, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, he's like, no, I want to get married. And he's even open. He's like, look, I'm dating because I want to get married. but I also know that it's not going to happen instantly, and neither should it happen instantly. And if you are someone that I could get married to, I would want to get to know you, not just simply into jump into this commitment when very likely you're not ready for it. Now, is that the kind of conversation you want to have on a first date? I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say no because I've had that conversation on a first date. And you want to know what? That wasn't me initiating it. Another Lars story. I think I might have told this one before. Like, I mean, this is fiction. This is fantasy. So this rolls over a little bit better than my experience did. But in grad school, I took this one girl out on a date, and I took her up to this observatory. It was a neat, like, museum-esque walkthrough. I love the stars. I love astronomy. And it's just such a fun thing, and it's something that can be very interactive. It's a great way, like, if you can share something that you enjoy with someone else on a date, you won't be bored on that date, or at least I hope not. If you are bored on that date, that means that person is not interested in you, and you should end that date as soon as possible. But so I was having a good time on this date, talking about all different kinds of things, talking about space, just having a good time. And after we walked through the observatory and the museum exhibits there and everything, we went outside into this nice parking lot area. Flagstaff is where this was at, is a dark city, so a lot of the lights get turned out after a certain point at night, and the lights that are on are very dim. So that way there's very little light pollution. So that means up in the mountains with very little light pollution, you can see just the beauties of the heavens above. It's really nice. And it was a nice way, I thought, to like end the night end the days. We're just sitting there, just talking, looking at the stars. And I was thinking, like, oh man, I could like share, like maybe I'll like share like one more story with her about an adventure of mine in my undergrad program, and and the astronomy classes I took. When suddenly she turns to me and she's like, Lars, you are exactly the kind of guy I want to marry. And I was just like, what? I was like, this is a first date? What's going on here? And she's like, yeah, I want to find a guy just like you. And I was like, oh, so it's not me. You just want to find a guy like me. And she's like, you're just so sweet and nice and so funny. That's what I'm looking for, just not with you. This was really nice. Thank you for taking me on a date. And I'm just like, girl, I just wanted to ask you on a date because I thought it'd be a lot of fun to take you out. I had no intentions about getting married. This is a first date. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Common grabs here. Oh, sorry, I'm late. Did I miss the whole stream? I mean, you missed a whole lot, Common Craft. But yeah, so that was yeah, that was a conversation I had on first date. I think that it is okay to let a person that you've taken out on a date know that you're someone who's looking for commitment. And I think that if you share that, I think you should follow it up very much like Yarrow does and just say, look, it might be with you, and I think that would be amazing, but I'm willing to take it slow. I'm willing to start off as friends. Like, if this is your first time being with that other person, then absolutely that's the approach. If you've been friends for a long time, you say, look, I love being friends with you. Maybe we could be more. I'd like to explore that option. Like, having an honest conversation, as embarrassing as it can be, as hard as it can be to bare your heart, is a healthy thing to do. And it avoids a lot of the miscommunication and embarrassment that comes with dating when we don't actually convey our intentions properly. And so Common Craft was the anime that's being shown. This is Marriage Toxin. And Marriage Toxin does a phenomenal job of showing, I think, the honesty that should be prevalent in modern dating. And so Scott and I were just gushing to no end about like how this was just such a fantastic portrayal of what romance can and should be, and how healthy it is. The honest and open communication, not trying to pull any sort of fast tricks to trick a person to liking you, not going for the whole wham bam, thank you, ma'am, one night stand deal or anything like that, but being open with your intentions, being honest, and treating the other person right. Like, even though Gero has absolutely no good social skills whatsoever, he does his best to do the right thing. He's trying to be a good guy, and that comes across just fine. Himikawa doesn't fall for him because he's this awesome assassin who rescued her. That helps. That's the meet cute. But what she likes about him is that he's someone who can show kindness even to an enemy. He is someone who is willing to not dirty his hands when he doesn't have to, even though he's an assassin. He's someone who is willing to go way out of his way to do right by strangers. And he's even willing, I mean, look at this right here. He's at clearly a kids' club surrounded by people wearing shark costumes, and he isn't running for the hills screaming. Like, a guy who is willing to spend time with a girl and what she finds interesting and not feel embarrassed by it conveys that this is someone who is interested not just in what he can get from her, but is interested in her. And so that's actually what wins Himikawa over Tagero, is that he is open, he's honest, he's a kind person, he's willing to put up with things that clearly make him uncomfortable because he knows that someone else is happy because of it. And that's just good stuff. And that's one of the reasons why Marriage Toxin is an absolute big recommendation from me, because that's how most of the story plays out as we get to meet all the different girls that Gero starts developing feelings for, because it is a harem anime, it is a harem manga. We get to see all of these great qualities, all of these very positive qualities, and we get to see positive depictions of what dating can be like, what it should be like. And one of the things that I personally, and not me, but everyone in Camille's harem have advocated for, is that we need more healthy relationships in fiction. There's so many which are just toxic and forced and shallow. And it's no good. They're not fulfilling. And they just convey to people, I feel like, the wrong idea of what romance can and should be. And so while there is a place for toxic romances in storytelling, I'm not going to say that we shouldn't have that, but I think that we should have more positive portrayals of romance and good character development that comes with that romance. That's what I advocate for. Conor says, reminds me of a story idea I had a while back about two people who enter in a relationship over time because they were a few constants in each other's lives and could relate a lot. Awesome. Yeah, that works. I like that. And I'm really looking forward to the next couple of episodes in the show because we get to meet one of the characters who I really enjoy, who is just such a bad, like Gero is like such a bad bundle of nerves and social anxiety. But she's just such a sweetheart. She's such a good person. I absolutely love her. Isa says there's a difference between arousal and attraction. Exactly. I used to say this. I used to say this a whole lot in church. I was like, you feel the spirit in here, and I like tap the heart, not down there. You feel love in your heart, not in your nether regions. If you're feeling it only down there, that is what we call lust, my dear friend, and does not last for very long and is quite negative. Yes, there's a big difference between arousal and attraction and a big difference between love and lust. And honestly, even though people say that they understand that, I think that too many writers and sadly too many people don't quite grasp the difference between the two of love and lust, arousal and attraction, of genuine interest and manipulation as well. There's a whole lot. There's a whole long rant I could have about the state of modern dating and my sad forays into it. Both instances where I have been the person on the bad receiving end, and unfortunately instances where I have not been my absolute best and have been the cause of the problems. Conquest says, for context, the original concept is that it is a story of two immortals, one unaging and the other that reincarnates over and over in different bodies. They befriend over time, and when the second, right, and when the second reincarnates into a body that the first finds attractive, they realize that they were so close and have to deal with it. I like that. That's it. I like the concept. That could be a very interesting and fun story there, Common Craft. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend checking out Marriage Toxin. It's such a fun anime, and it's such a good, positive story, and it's one that's all wrapped up in just a really interesting world of assassins and superpowers because anime. And it's sad that it's not getting as much recognition as it should because it's really such a good show. It's such a good story. But honestly, this is also happening at the exact same time as we're getting shows like Wish Hat Altia, ReZero coming back for its fourth season, and just so many other fantastic series I believe that this one could very easily, unfortunately, just be lost in the shuffle. But if you're looking for a positive depiction of romance in fiction, Marriage Toxin is one that I definitely recommend. And especially because I think it definitely is geared towards a more mature audience while still being jokey and fun. That it doesn't come off as childish because there's a lot of like good teenage rom-coms within anime or teenage romances in anime, but those are very clearly more immature. This one, on the other hand, is willing to speak on a higher level for a more mature audience, and that's good. Concraft says the idea is currently wrestling in my head over dominance with another story idea, for which gets to be written first. Well, right there, I say write out all of your story ideas and think of it and see which one immediately speaks to you, and that's the one that you should work on. I myself right now am in an interesting situation where I'm trying to work through my second half for the first draft of Bleed Steam and Steel Part 2. And so much of me now just wants to either jump to Whitefire or jump to the Bardic Mercenaries or jump on over to Gear Witch. And I'm just like, no, I have said I would do this. I'm going to focus on this. And I'm reshuffling my schedule around a little bit this year so that way I can hopefully more realistically tackle some of the stories that I want to actually write this year while also prepping myself for writing Whitefire next year, which is going to be my big project that will dominate most of the year. So, whoo boy. Let me take a drink of water. That's good water. Keep yourselves hydrated. We're entering summertime. Except for those of you who are on the who are south of the equator, you're entering your own winter time, which is so strange. To me, not yet winter. You're entering fall. We're in spring here, but in the desert, it might as well already be summer. The second idea was closer to mystery and some horror. Two girls, they used to be close, but one had become the other's bully for almost 2 years. On top of that, there's a weird blood plague. And a what? A blood plague and a what? So, with that being said, let me then get us to our last topic of the evening. And No, it's not Deltarune. It's gonna going to talk uh, updates for stories and everything. So much like what Wonder dealt with a with a mistake in Draw the Line, I've been looking at my book Monarch Mercenaries Autonomy. So, and this is embarrassing to admit, but it's true, and it's true, and it's something that I hope can actually prove to be a lesson for others. That so the artwork that was supposed to go into the book ended up almost entirely being AI art. Now, the artist that I contracted for the artwork, I was under the impression that they were going to make all of the artwork themselves because they are a professional artist. And so I was not well educated in AI or AI art. I just thought that it was I just thought that this artist was doing an amazing job just cranking out these images. And I was like, oh, this is clearly digital. So it's like, oh, they're probably just working wonders with Adobe. And then printed, after the book was printed, a person reached out to me and said, Lars, you've got AI art in all throughout your book. I was like, wait, what? And they pointed out where it was noticeable. And going back through, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's AI art. Now, I have two different artists who worked on the book. My good man Kevin, who did the artwork for both. Well, actually, he's now done the artwork for Bleed Steam and Steel, Monarch Mercenaries Autonomy. He's done the book art for those two books, the cover art for those two books, and he also did the cover art for my most recent novel, Tower of Seers. He's an absolutely phenomenal artist. Highly, highly recommend him. Just beautiful work. Uh, but this other artist, yeah, used AI. And so I've been going through fixing up some things about the book. Because unfortunately, when I printed it, it was the best I could do at the time, but it was not an example of what could be my best work. So I've been going back through Monarch Mercenaries Autonomy. I've been fixing things up, and I'm going to hire other artists to do the artwork that will go into the book, because this is a book that kind of needs its artwork. The reason being is because this book is the deep dive, or I should say, not necessarily the deep dive, it's the dive into the deep end of my concept of the realms of imagination. It says, hey, you want to learn how to swim without floaties? Here you go. This is the book. And so it's very wild. It's very ridiculous. It defies genre. It does all different kinds of crazy things with all these amazing magical space pirate adventures. And in order to really capture the zany feel of this universe where everyone's imagination, yours, mine, your neighbors, your worst enemies, a guy on the other side of the planet, all of our imagination pools and becomes real. And so I want to be able to capture that feel with the artwork. And so it'll take some time to be able to make that happen. So that's one of the big things I'm right now working on. The Blood Plague were vampires, and the woman just got attached to the bullied girl because of her similarity to her late mother that the vampire was possessive towards. And they used AI. Blah. What used AI? One of the artists that I worked with, unfortunately, and I didn't realize until after the fact, because at the time I was not well educated in AI art, and so it's just so disappointing. Conquer says, it's a bit like, what do you do for a person who did something unforgivable but was made to forget? What do you do when a monster tries to make you happy? Well, that right there is a good question, Concraft. A good one to explore. So yeah, that's one of the big things I'm right now working on, while also writing up the first draft, the complete first draft for my sequel to Bleed, Steam, and Steel. And I've also been partially working on my next fairy tale retelling, which is The Cudgel in the Sack. That one's coming along pretty well. I'm really excited for that. But obviously, still one of the big ones is Whitefire. And recently, again, this is why you shouldn't just rely on AI, because AI just regurgitates what things you want, based on the prompt and based off of what it steals and knows about you. AI would never have been able to come up with one of the solutions, or I should say this: AI would not have known that this particular solution would have worked out well for one of the big issues that happens later on in Whitefire. So a little bit of the lore. Cudgel, like Ivy Cudgel. Cudgel isn't like massive hammer, or a mallet that you use for tanning. Uh, the So a little bit of the lore for the dragons in Whitefire. Hold on a sec. Let me take a drink of water real quick. Good stuff. So a little bit of the world building and lore for the world of Whitefire. Dragons need hordes in order to collect magic. Dragons are the only ones who can use magic naturally. Like, sure, there are some dragonborn who have like small magic tricks and whatnot that they can use, but like but that's like a very, very small fraction of the dragonborn population can do that. Most dragonborn can't use magic. They didn't inherit that ability from their dragon parents. Humans have no innate ability to use magic, none whatsoever. This makes dragons truly the apex power and predators on this planet of Draconia, because not only are they dragons, they can use magic in a world where only like a tiny fraction of one other population can get even close to using any of the kind of powers that they use. So, like, this is amazing. This is incredible for a dragon, and terrifying for everyone else. But in order for dragons to get magic, they have to pull in that energy from the planets, from God's creations, into themselves. And the way that they do this is by interacting with a horde. So dragons will hoard all different kinds of things. They mostly hoard treasures, but they can also hoard books, knitting, pine cones, gossip, whatever it be that they really, just really, really love and enjoy. That is what they hoard. And it must be refined. It must be usable. It can't just be simply like a vein of gold. That will do in a pinch, but it causes backlash. If dragons want to be able to harness magic without feeling sick afterwards, if they want to have totally refined energy, they have to have hordes. These dragons are just like me, hoarding pine cones. For real, for real. But it must be something special. It must be something personal, and either honestly, the treasure has to either be highly personal, such as pine cones, books, gossip, like for the dragon gossip, in order for it to counteract that. It must be refined, like minted coins of silver, gold, bronze, and copper, of cut gems and the likes. If a dragon draws on unrefined treasure, it could make them sick, because they're then just pulling in raw energy And a good way of thinking about it would be like if you've got to gas up your car. Gasoline is refined. It has gone through a process in order for it to become what it is. It's not just straight up oil out of the ground. If you took oil right on out of the ground and poured it into your car to act as gasoline, sure, your car can turn on. It's not going to feel very good, and you're going to cause damage to your engine. It'll do all kinds of nasty things. It'll ultimately kill your car. And that's kind of what it's like for a dragon to draw an unrefined or unpersonalized treasure. And so this is why hordes are so important. The hordes are either the personalized or highly refined treasure that allows for dragons to gather magic and give them that edge that they need to survive and dominate in this world. And so as a result, the hordes are very, very protected. No self-respecting dragon, no dragon who wants to survive is just going to leave his or her horde unattended, unprotected in some kind of way. And so this is important for one of my main characters, Silandria, because her horde is specially protected, but she's also been cut off from her horde while being a prisoner to Thornbeard. I'll only quickly catch up with some of the stuff you guys have put here in the chat. Like the bully was almost a sister, so let's come back to the story. The bully was almost a sister, betrayed everything they had, and now had all memory of the bullying, and what made her choose to bully wiped by the vampire, like a supernatural version of amnesia plot plus supernatural mystery. Very, very interesting. I like that. You could have some fun stuff with that particular plot premise. Wonder says, I'm very glad I didn't use AI in my book. Proud of myself that I didn't take the easy option. I'm very proud of you as well, Wonder, for not relying on AI. AI is the lazy way to go. I says, these dragons are just like me. This stuff of dragons reminds me of the dragons from Pathfinder 2nd edition. Each species has a type of horde, from gold to gems to magic items to conspiracies to entire communities and so on. Well, that's cool stuff. Me like dragon. Can a dragon condition themselves to use this raw power? Like poison training where you take incremental amounts at a time. So to answer that question, ISO, a dragon can come to learn how to manage drawing upon raw magic, but it will hurt them. It will always hurt them. There is no immunity to that particular condition. And so this is why dragons will not draw on raw energy to make their magic unless they absolutely have to, because again, it's like pouring raw oil into your gas tank. Like, it's oily, it will combust. It's not good for your engine in any kind of way to do that. Even putting straight up oil into your engine has all, like, if you use oil in your engine for the whole cleaning and cooling and maintenance of the engine, that oil in of itself has also been refined to a certain degree in order to match your engine's capabilities and needs. So it's the same thing. Again, it's very much the same thing for dragons. If you were to just take crude oil and put it into an engine, it's going to hurt the engine. It's the same way for these dragons. Unlike an engine, which will probably stop working after one or two times of doing that, they, though, can handle it, but they will get very sick. And that kind of sickness can lead to just like crazy weakness, delirium, the inability to use magic, their immune system crashing. All different nasty kinds of things can happen as a result of that. For Silandria, it will actually result in her losing weight in a way that is not healthy when she has to rely on drawing on raw magic. Another another uh, another oh restriction is probably the right word for it. Another restriction to dragons and their ability to gather magic is that once they've begun accumulating a hoard and that hoard is theirs, they cannot draw on any other source for energy, for magic, unless they break their connection to their hoard. Doing so leaves their hoard open for capture by other dragons. So most dragons will not relinquish hold on their hoard unless it is the most dire of circumstances. Conquest says, so like the martial artists that break bricks, they don't actually harden their hands, they always crack their bones. They just stop feeling as much. Yep. Hey, we got Sin the robot here. Ah, man, Sin, you showed up. You showed up late for the conversation. We had an almost hours long conversation on the promening and prom and robots, and the most recent merch commercial. But it's great to have you here, Sin. Just please don't eat us. um, but yeah. So coming back to it, so understanding this lore is important um, for one of the conundrums that I ran into with Silandria, because Silandria has her own heart. Okay, there goes my plans. Hey, Sen, I knew we could rely on you to be a good one, be one of the good ones. That you can be reformed. But anyway, I've written myself into a bit of a conundrum because Silandria's hoard plays an important role in the overall story because she was made the guardian. This wasn't something that she initially took into her hoard. This was given to her by other dragons. This massive blade that that allows the wielder to cut through just about anything. It's one of Draconia's most dangerous weapons. And the society that Silandria belongs to, the Serpentine Sisterhood, their self-designated charge is to prevent other massive wars from consuming the entire planet, like the Kingbreakers War did about 100 years before, or a little bit less, actually. I'm still making sure that the timeline lines up the way it should. But so one of the things that the Serpentine Sisterhood does is they basically get their hands on like the nuclear options and make sure that no one else can use them. Thornbeard, who wants to become the 5th Dragon King of Draconia, he's like, I need a most magnificent weapon that will allow me to fight against the other kings and queens and take them down. If I can have this sword, I could even kill dragons like Stormeye and Dark Knight, who are insanely powerful. And so that's one of the reasons why he wants Silandria, is because he wants her hoard. Well, so I was like, okay then. So Silandria obviously is not going to break her connection to her hoard. Rawr. She's not going to break her connection to her hoard, because that would allow for Thornbeard to get it. But I had to struggle because I'm like, Silandria needs to weaken in terms of magic over time. I also want her to like demonstrate this element of world building of drawing on raw magic, how that will hurt her, but how she utilizes that as a means of tricking Thornbeard, making it because he thinks, oh, she's weak, she's lost her access to her hoard, ha ha ha, she has no more powers because she can't draw on any more magic, but really she is drawing on some magic. And I'm like, how do I make this happen? Because like my world building is the way it is, and I really like these restrictions. They're good restrictions. And so what I came to realize would help me out in all of this is that there is a moment in the book before the end where our heroes make it to Thornbeard's palace, his massive mountain fortress where he and his army of other dragons are, and they manage to break in and they get close to saving Silandria. but it all goes belly up in the end, and they are forced to flee. And so as a result of that, like, okay, then so well, what happens next? I mean, this is going to lead to other things happening in the plot. But what then occurred to me, and again, AI could not have delivered this to me because AI doesn't know what's in my brain. Uh, was that wait a second? There is a way for her hoard to be taken from her. That worked. I was like, wait, this works so well because World Eater, the dragon who hires Whitefire and Eric along with the other Slayers to go free Silandria, is a dragon that is very, very much wanted for death by other very powerful dragons who maintain the order on Draconia. Order that goes far beyond even the Serpentine Sisterhood. And so I can have, so I was like, wait a second, what if one of those other dragons? And this allows me to, beyond just Metal Zealot, introduce one of the other zealots. Like, wait a second, I can introduce more of the zealots. Oh, who are these very ancient dragons that become very important later on in the series. I can introduce more of the zealots, so that way their introduction isn't just something that I save for way later, but they become relevant much earlier on. One of the zealots comes and is all like, Thornbeard, I want you to kill World Eater for me. So, in order for you to do that, I'll give you one thing that you want. What do you want? He's like, I want Silandria. But Silandria is being protected by a spell from World Eater that the zealot's like, I can't actually break that spell. That spell is tied to World Eater's life force. What else do you want in order to kill World Eater? And so Thornbeard's like, I want the sword from Silandria's hoard. I need you to get it for me. And so this zealot will then use his power to break Silandria's bond to her hoard, thereby opening it and allowing for Thornbeard then to get the sword, which is going to be important for later, and then putting Silandria into a corner where she has to rely on using raw energy from unrefined treasures and that are just in the mountains, just flecks of gold here and there and of copper, and use that to draw energy to her. It's going to make her very sick, but give her just that tiniest bit of magic that she can use at just the right time to help out at the very end and have like a really, really cool moment that I've been imagining now for over a decade. In any case, I'll catch up again on some stuff you guys said here. Let's talk about world building. Just now reminded me of earlier today. I had been workshopping some lore for a world I was planning to use. Is basically an isekai semi-subversion. Everything in it comes from another world except the planet itself. The gods use it as a sort of game / competition with stakes. With summon things in other worlds, it can take centuries, so the summoners have children and make nations and occasionally forget where they come from because it's been generations until a new round of summons come. That's pretty cool. Random thing, seeing Sin. This is a guy trying to build a real-life Sin robot here on YouTube. Wonder how it's going. Just checked. It seems to still be ongoing. There was a semi-recent update of that robot. Oh boy, a Sin robot. I don't know if the world is ready for that kind of danger to be unleashed. I was like, oh man, I've got to go now. See y'all next stream. Hey, ISO, thank you so much for being here. And to be all honest, I'll be wrapping up here pretty soon. So juice. Great having you here, man. But yeah, so that's one of the things I've been working out as far as like reconciling the world building that I have in mind, along with what I want to do with my story, and this is where things get kind of interesting as a writer, because you're left sometimes with a choice. Do you alter your world building in order to allow for really cool things that you have in mind, or do you shackle yourself to your world building and force yourself to have to become more creative to do some of the things that you want to do in your plots? My personal belief is that the more challenges you place on yourself, the more restrictions you have, the more it forces you to actually become creative. And that can actually be of a massive boon to your story. Now, as Conquer says, the interesting question, I think there's no right answer. And I agree, because there are times where you honestly have to tell yourself, that was dumb. Like that world building idea I had was actually kind of dumb, or it just is too much of a hindrance. Because what I want to do with my characters is so good. Like I need to be able to do that. And so this is why it becomes really important, especially if you're going to be dealing with a story that really relies on you like coming up with like creative ideas for how the world works and everything. You really do need to think it through. That doesn't mean you shouldn't write until you have all your ideas out, but you really need to think through the world building and see again for yourself what works and what doesn't. If there's a point where it's like, actually, no, this world building is really good, I need to adhere to it, then you adhere to it. If there's times you say, nah, this world building is actually interfering with something that is more important than just this cool idea that I have. Like again, where characters are involved. Always think about how this serves your characters. And so, like for myself, for instance, with this example with Whitefire, this serves my characters in that it allows me to introduce some important characters a little bit earlier, which I think is good. Also, it shows how Silandria was willing to not break at all until her horde is forcibly stripped away from her. And so then in order to continue to resist Thornbeard, she's willing to even hurt herself by drawing on raw power. And so there's then that character development. Also how Thornbeard reacts to all of this and whatnot. So like by adhering to this world building, which I could change, but if I adhere to it, it allows me to do a little bit more and bring out a little bit more of these characters, as well as place, I think, some important restrictions on the dragons, because otherwise, I mean, these dragons are already insanely OP, and if they can literally just do whatever they want, then it becomes kind of silly that any Slayer could take them down. Because if there are no restrictions, if there are no weaknesses, then how can anyone bring down a dragon other than another dragon? And when 2/3 of your main cast are not dragons, then that's kind of a little bit difficult, especially in a story about dragon slayers. So the world building there definitely becomes of greater service to the story. But there have been times, especially in the developing of the world of the realms of imagination, where I've definitely dropped certain world building ideas because I'm like, you know what? Nah, this is imagination. People are allowed to get crazy and wacky. Let's allow that to happen. Let me take another drink of water right here. Good stuff. Commoncraft says it depends on the story itself. Some stories will care more about the world building than others, depending on what kind of story it is. For example, Percy Jackson suffers a bit in the threats to the camp are a semi-frequent way to increase stakes, but the camp is almost never shown outside the bare basics, so it falls a bit flat. And I can see, yeah. If in a magical setting, you should be able to describe that magical setting and give it its boundaries of what works, what doesn't. It's one of the things that makes Fablehaven work so well is that Fablehaven explains a lot of its rules pretty early on, and it adheres to those rules all the way until the end. And so you get some, and so you're stuck with those rules. You know what the rules are before the first book of Fablehaven has ended, and it's one of the reasons why you're like, Seth, obey the rules, stop trying to break them. Every time you try to break a rule, something bad happens. You should know this by now. And it makes the world of Fablehaven feel far more tangible and relatable. At the same time, however, the world build the sake of the characters is not sacrificed for world building. The character arcs are phenomenal within Fablehaven. It's good stuff, especially Seth. Oh man, I love Seth's character so much in the series. He's a pain in the rear for the first two books, and a large part through the third book. By the end of the third book, you're like, okay, there's something good in you. And by the end of the fifth book, you're like, Seth, you are amazing. You've come so far, my little dude. All right. Well, it is almost 9 o'clock here, so I think we'll wrap it up there. So big takeaways. Big takeaways of the night. Murder Drones is still applicable. Still a whole lot of fun. I would say when you think about parties within a story, be inventive, be creative with the application of your parties. You can have a whole lot of fun. Marriage Toxin is awesome. You should watch it. We need to have more positive depictions of romance and fiction. World building. It's the question. What is more important? Will your characters thrive more if you ditch the world building that you've established, or will your characters thrive more because you adhere to the world building that you intend to establish? That is what you should ask yourself. Then Amaya says, here is a pitch. I know you've talked about it, but maybe a story where the Delta Warriors have to save analogs of Azrael and Des, Three Musketeers style. That sounds like fun. Especially because recently I've been thinking a whole lot about early modern warfare, and the Musketeers are part of that whole early modern warfare phase. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to think about sleep on that a little bit. Omega. That sounds like a really fun premise. And Comicraft, thanks for dropping by for the stream. This has been a whole lot of fun. Well, I am Analogs. I'm Omega. How about you, real quick, explain yourself? Excuse me, a little bit further. This gives me also a chance to take another drink of water because holy cow, all this talking has made me very thirsty. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, remember, it's in the desert. It might as well already be summer. It is already very dry. So talking for this long without guzzling a whole lot of water is absolutely not the kind of thing that you want to do. So, analogous horror copies, alternate versions, Mandela catalog, LOL. Sorry, I had to do that. Well, I do like the idea of them having to save versions of Azrael and Des, especially if we are right in assuming that Deltarune is in large part about saving Des Holiday. And honestly, it's an idea that's not without merit, especially for the next chapter. So, and I know I said wrap up right here. Let me actually throw this out here as an idea for the 5th chapter. We're very, very likely going to go into a dark world that will be opened up by Asgore. Now, in chapter 3, we got a hint of what Asgore liked to watch, which was Westerns. Yeah, and it fits because Asgore kind of sees it, because Asgore was the sheriff of Hometown. He definitely views himself as the protagonist, as the hero of his own story. And he just has a very charming, folksy way about him, very Western-like. So what if in this dark world, in chapter 5, what if part of what Asgore is trying to do is rescue people? Rescue Toriel, of course, win when the damsel in distress is hot, rescue his family and rescue Des. Now, maybe that we won't exactly see exact carbon copies of Toriel and of Des and Azrael and Chris, but we might find their likenesses in that dark world. Characters that we get to meet, engage with, and through them we get more hints about Chris's life, and that could be really, really interesting. Now, of course, a Three Musketeers approach is very different than anything that we've seen for Asgore for the other characters, but that would be a whole lot of fun. That would be really, really fun to see play out. Comcraft says, I once had an idea about Nico from One Shot ending up in Deltarune, how Nico and Chris have a different relationship with the player. Show also player / soul. Also, really hope the Woody theory comes true. I gotta believe. Gotta believe. Basically, imagine Desriel, but as a Darkner royalty or something like that. And in the third act, the main three Delta warriors, after being separated, and the player having to bail them out of a ... I'll see what we get next. Which of these Three Musketeers best fits with each Delta warrior's personality? That is a most excellent question. That is a very excellent question. And are we focusing primarily on just the Three Musketeers, or are we also including in our fourth friend, our fourth Musketeer, or is that going to be Lancer? Excuse me. Oh man, take another drink. Bail him out of an Attack of the Clones Coliseum style scene. Oh man, that'd be epic. I'll just realize the end of the stream got derailed just because Deltarune in a Murder Drones video. I know. Oh man, the player is D'Artagnan. Okay, the player is D'Artagnan. All right. So, interesting stuff to think on. I definitely need to crank out some more Deltarune videos here real soon, but I need to make sure that my Hellfire analysis goes on through my proper breakdown and analysis of the Amazing Digital Circus episode 8, as well as some other things. So I got a lot to jump on and get done. You guys do as well. Best of luck with all of your stories, with all of your creative endeavors. And I will see you guys soon in the next video, hopefully the 100th. And until then, not the 100th, the 1000th, the 1000th video. So until then, y'all, tschüss.